Hello, everyone, and welcome to Texas Pinball Festival 2025 in Frisco, Texas. Arcade 92 has spent all weekend playing over 400 pinball machines. It's so great to explore the 100-year history of pinball, and we wanted to make this video to focus on the 10 new pinball machines that are available for purchase today. We have a little bit of a different approach here because there are some pins that we can't really have in the arcade because of our free play setting. So we may be talking up some great pins here, and you may not actually see them at either of the two Arcade 92 locations, but they'd be fantastic for a personal game room. We're going to do a short review of all 10 pinball machines, and then I'm going to put them in order from my most favorite to least favorite. So notice I'm not saying the best or the worst. This is my personal opinion, so take it however you would like. If you have a different opinion, you're absolutely entitled to that, but this is me just trying to help you guys out if you're looking to get a pinball for yourself. Then, once we're done with that, I'm again going to give my opinion on which is the best pinball machine, in my opinion, for each pricing category. Because of course, the most expensive ones are going to be the best, or at least that should be the case. So we're going to break it down into a few categories. Okay, let's get started. As usual, the belle of the ball is Jersey Jacks with their latest creation, Avatar. Avatar has a huge screen, as typical with Jersey Jacks, and it's a very unique thing here now is two internal playfields under the main playfield. Even one of the little playfields has like an actual mini flippers and mini pinball that is really enjoyable to play. The shots are smooth, and it's relatively easy to get into the modes, which I have always thought is how you identify a great pinball machine. The artwork on the cabinet is excellent, and the theme is actually based on both the Avatar's movie both movies, which makes it very enjoyable. The movie clips that play are very relevant, and again are elements from both of the films. The wire ramps are very unique, and the screen, one thing I love about Jersey Jacks is the screen actually tells you where you are. So once you're in the top 10, it'll tell you this many more points till rank 9 or 8 or 7. And then it takes a photo of you to put you and your name in the top 10 score. And I'm just saying that I may or may not have got 6th place in my photo taken on one of these pins here. So again, just saying. Next on my list is Evil Dead by Spooky Pinball. I actually had to go back and forth between this pinball and Avatar because I was really wrestling over which of these two I thought was the belle of the ball. But overall, the one of the things I love about Evil Dead, not only am I a huge fan of the movies, especially Army of Darkness, but it was pretty easy to stay alive. You could actually play the game for quite some time. The action's relatively easy, and getting into the missions is again relatively simple as well, which I think as you play through the missions, you really get involved in the game. If you're just always trying to start a mission, it's hard to get really into a game. There's this really cool cellar feature that again is an internal playfield underneath the main playfield, which is very similar to Avatar. The cut off hand element is so fantastic, and again, if you're familiar with the movies, you will definitely love that feature. In addition to that, if you're familiar with the movies, there's a shotgun, or if I should say, the boomstick. Very clever addition to the pinball. And something we haven't seen in a long time is a third flipper that's on the lower part of the playfield. I haven't seen this in a bit. It's called the Groovy Flipper, and there's actually a pretty good purpose to it. Okay, then I went over to the huge layout, the huge setup by Stern Pinball to check out Dungeons & Dragons. Now, we have a Dungeons & Dragons Pro at both Arcade 92 locations, and I loved it. So this is a good chance for me to play the premium version as well. But this game is very true to the Dungeons & Dragons source material. The Dragon multi-ball is extremely unique, and also how you can use a shield with the action button to block shots that are just falling straight down the middle is so great. But also that action button can be used as like a bow and arrow when you're attacking enemies. So it's just a really, really great blend of features, and I am very, very impressed with this. So One thing I do want to add here is I did not notice a huge difference between the premium and the pro. So let's just say usually the gap is pretty significant of the features and the look of the playfield between a premium and a pro. Now, I will acknowledge that the dragon is much, much more active, and that's kind of the main point of the game. It is far more active in the premium version, and it actually does actively block your ball, so it is more challenging. But that's kind of it. Other than that, there's not really much difference between the premium and the pro. Chicago Gaming Company has a home run once again with Medieval Madness Remake. Now, this one is the Merlin edition, and I am so pleased with this game. It is a modern pin, but it is very true to its retro origins from the late 90s. The figurines and the characters, the trolls that pop up on the playfield are just perfection. The shots are, again, very accessible. It was really fun to play this, really, really fun. And probably in my top 5, maybe even in my top 3 pinballs of all time is Attack from Mars. And of course, this is going to have a bit of carryover from Attack from Mars. But the castle and the drawbridge feature is very similar to how Destroying the Saucer was Attack from Mars, which was absolutely one of my most top pinball games. So I really enjoyed this one. Absolute home run by Chicago. In the middle of Texas Pinball Festival was a pinball machine by Turner Pinball called Merlin's Arcade. Now, this is just coincidence. It has nothing to do with Medieval Madness, even though that's the Merlin edition. This is a completely different take. One thing I really have always liked about Turner Pinball is they really have some innovative ideas. And Merlin's Arcade has this brilliant second button called the finesse flip. Now, I've seen some people that are pretty good about passing the ball from the left flipper to the right flipper to, make sure that you hit the shots that you're aiming for. I'm just not that great at it. And this finesse flipper is perfect for passing it from the left to the right or vice versa. I was really impressed by this, and I actually really hope that this idea catches on. The only downside of the game is I don't get the theme. I honestly don't. I don't understand it. So now, mind you, at Texas Pinball Festival, you get to play about 3 balls, and there's usually a line behind you, so you got to wait again to play. But it's definitely like a medieval, but also with Merlin. But there's also like basketball and like other sports, and there's like a foosball guy in there. Like I'm having a hard time connecting the medieval counterpart with the arcade, with the sports. So hopefully I'm just missing something. I really could not get into the theme of the game. Now, one thing I was surprised by is American Pinball did not really have a presence here at Texas Pinball Festival, but there was a few of their games there. Of course, one of those games is their most recent, Barry O's Barbecue Challenge. They also had Hot Wheels, and they also had Galactic Tank Force as well. But the game I'm mostly focusing on was Barry O's Barbecue Challenge because that is their most recent game, and it's the most easy to go purchase at the moment. So I wanted to give this game another shot because I really did not enjoy it last year. And I will say I got a little more into it this year. I feel like it's a little better, but end of the day, it's still just very, very basic. It would have been such a great pin 15 years ago, but this definitely falls into the value pin category. It's great for those who are a fan of Barry Ausler and just kind of all the contributions that he's made since the last 70s, but it's definitely much more of like a niche to collectors, and that's fine. That's totally okay. Only a few tables there. The Metallica Remastered is so great. I really enjoyed this one, and something I needed to clear up is that this is not just a remake of the last Metallica. This really truly is remastered. The playfield's entirely different, very different vibe. So this is not just a re-release. This is not a remake. It is truly remastered. They went in a surprise direction, which I don't have a problem with, but it definitely has more of like the spooky vibes, like haunted to it, like a little bit like your Rob Zombie kind of vibe to it, and the music is more like from the Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets era, Justice for All, Kill 'Em All, like, and kind of ends off at the Black Album and then doesn't really move past that. But the video is all of Metallica's band members as they are today. So it is really a great execution of the game, but I was pleasantly surprised. I will say, while I definitely enjoy it, the playfield is, I don't want to say simple, but I do want to say that it's typical. So the art and the theme elements were excellent. Possibly a home run by Stern, but at minimum, a third base hit for sure. So I personally really enjoyed it. The next pin is Labyrinth by Barrels of Fun Pinball, and A+ to these guys. To have this be their first pin absolutely sets a high bar for everyone else and for them for whatever they came out with next. There's such a cool element. We're having this panoramic screen, not just in the back glass, but also inside the actual pin itself towards the back. So the figurines popping in and out make the gameplay very enjoyable. And, you know, the good side of that is it gives you a good laugh and it surprises you. But one downside of that is I don't want to say it gets old fast, but it kind of does get old fast. So, and part of this is probably because, again, this helps because I wasn't really a big Labyrinth fan, but so it's easier for me to judge a pin just by its gameplay and not get wrapped up in the theme. So for not knowing of Labyrinth, but not just really being head over heels for Labyrinth, I found it to be enjoyable, but probably I'm not signing up to get one for my home game room. And I think that has a lot to do with the gameplay not being shrouded by the theme itself. Okay, another pin that I was pleasantly surprised by is the Funhouse remake. So Funhouse is a really cool retro pin, and they really did a great job of bringing modern elements into remaking this game. So again, these guys did fantastic. There's this really cool panoramic video that, again, or a screen that's very modern, but again, it plays like a retro pin. So, and they kind of took this cool little idea like a Jersey Jack's Toy Story, where there's this little like 4-inch vertical monitor that's actually inside the playfield just to help you to know what you're supposed to be doing. And that really helps. The ramps are super creative. And again, even the lighting, it's like the lighting is modern, but it still has that retro vibe to it. The shots are smooth. It's easy to stay alive in the game. It's easy to get into the modes of the game. And it was a really great play. So the only thing I have trouble with on Funhouse is even have trouble with all the originals and Roadshow is that really creepy head in the upper corner. So first of all, it's a hard shot to make. You can really only do it with the upper left flipper. But again, just the mouth open and the soulless eyes, just I don't know if I could have that in my house, but that is more of a personal problem for me. But overall, great pen. If the creepy head doesn't bother you, then I would highly recommend this. Okay, the last new pin that I got to check out was ABBA by Pinball Bros. So Pinball Brothers, I was so excited to see them come out with Alien. Loved it. I absolutely loved it. It just played so slow. I just felt like it needed to be like an action-packed game, and just today's modern pins, it was just too slow for me. So then Queen was released, and it was just too slow for me. And then now I have ABBA, and guess what? It is so slow. And the problem is it's just slow compared to the modern pins that are available today. But the more I think about it, maybe this is the point. If you are anxious and get stressed out about how fast the pinball gameplay is today in modern pins, then this may actually be, it's a very chill, relaxing gameplay. So maybe there's something to that, but that does seem to be a niche that they're going into. And again, it could very well be intentional, and I'm missing the point. I did really like the helicopter feature that has a ball save that really had this kind of Twilight Zone vibes with the gumball machine holding the balls. So I did actually really enjoy that. There's very creative use of magnets. But overall, here's my thought, is if you're a pinball player, if you're looking for a slow, chill game, this is great. Here is our grand finale of the top 10 pins of 2025. And again, this is my opinion, but as I probably was not hiding the ball on, number 1 is Avatar, in my opinion. Avatar, either version, absolute home run, incredibly impressive. But in a very, very close second is going to be Evil Dead. And third for me is going to be Dungeons and Dragons, followed with Medieval Madness. And honestly, in this number 4, number 5 spot, that was a tough one too, because Metallica Remastered, I had to put slightly under Medieval Madness because, again, that was a tough one for me because I'm so attracted to the theme of Metallica. It was very hard for me to separate that. But after looking at it objectively, I do believe Medieval Madness is a better pin. Number 6 is Labyrinth. Number 7 is Funhouse. Number 8 is Merlin's Arcade. And number 9 is ABBA. And again, sadly, I hate doing this, but Barry O's Barbecue Challenge is number 10. Again, though, this is just my 2 cents and my opinion. If you're a big fan of Barry O and you just really want to have his last designed game, then this should be number 1 for you. But as far as separating myself from the actual theme and getting into the actual gameplay, it is number 10 for me, unfortunately. But Avatar definitely takes the win. But of course, Avatar is the most expensive. So let's break this down. Let me put a little twist on this to have price categories. So here's the best pins for the $7,000 to $8,000 range, which is about where pins start at that are at least made new. Number 1, I have Dungeons and Dragons Pro. But as you'll see here in a little bit, I don't have the Dungeons & Dragons Premium so high up in the next category because, again, there wasn't as drastic of a difference between the Pro and the Premium as I believe that there typically is. Number 2 is the Funhouse Classic Edition. And number 3 is Merlin's Arcade. And number 4 is Barry O's Barbecue Challenge. The next price window is the $8,000 to $10,000 pinball machines. And number 1, I have Evil Dead. Number 2 is Metallica Remastered. Number 3 is the Funhouse Limited Edition. And number 4 is Dungeons & Dragons Premium, for reasons that I mentioned before. And number 5 is the ABBA Standard Edition. And lastly is the top tier games, which is going to be, again, number 1, Avatar. And again, either version is fantastic. Medieval Madness was number 2 for me. This is the Merlin Edition. I don't quite know yet what the price is going to be for a step-down version of the Merlin Edition, but the Merlin Edition definitely puts us in the over 10,000 category, but fantastic pin. Number 3 would be Labyrinth, but I will say that the price tag on Labyrinth is like the low 10,000, so it almost fits into the previous category. And then finally, again, is ABBA, the limited edition. So I hope that this video helps you out. This is an expensive hobby. It is a wonderful hobby, very enjoyable. But again, does come with a healthy price tag. So if you made it to Texas Pinball Festival, I hope you had a great time. I know I absolutely did. And if not, we'll see you next year because it's absolutely worth the trip.